how much sane anger is too much. Here's our third video.
Our third video on sane anger.
This one's actually about the documentary Some Kind of Monster.
Yep, it is almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And it covers the 2-year production process of Sane Anger.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to be just, clips of Metallica in the studio making their new album, when the creators of the documentary are like, hey, these guys are fucked.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, there's a lot of material here to work with, so we're going to go the distance and to cover all this.
Yeah, which it kind of makes Sane Anger a bit more interesting, as this album shows the state that Metallica was in at the time, which they almost broke up.
Yeah.
Like
I never realized that, and I didn't watch this until after
they
listening
were
through
bass
Anger.
player list. James went off to rehab. They had psychiatrists.
There was lots and lots of infighting.
Yeah, you really started to see the tension between James and Lars.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Like, I almost felt, the entire time, I kind of felt bad for Kirk.
Yeah, he feels like a third wheel in like a broken relationship.
Yeah,
he's just trying to keep it together. He's like the kid, and James and Lars are just a bickering old couple.
Which brings a question: if Metallica breaks up, will James or Lars get parenting rights for Kirk?
I mean, it all depends. Does Kirk really want to have to move to Denmark?
Does anyone want to move to Denmark?
Exactly.
But yeah, as much as we're joking about it, I actually really enjoyed this documentary.
Yeah, I mean,
it's really good.
I really enjoyed it. It wasn't full of a lot of action, obviously, because it's a documentary.
Yeah.
Didn't capture like any insane moments on camera or anything like that, but
no,
it did document a really rough time in Metallica's lifespan.
Like, it was actually it was something for them to even release this.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not. What's the most least metal thing you can think of? It's a psychiatrist.
Exactly.
It is going to therapy as a metal band.
Group therapy.
Yeah.
That you're definitely right. That is the most unmetal thing, and for them to do that is just.
Yeah.
It kind of shows that they realize that they're just people.
Yeah.
So they're not worried about trying to keep up this rock star persona that they obviously tried to keep up for many years. They're pretty open.
Yeah.
About who they are. So.
Yeah.
It kind of set the stage for, late Metallica.
Yeah, like intertwined with that, you kind of get how some of these songs are written for Saint Anger.
Yeah, definitely.
Which we can all agree is not their best album, but this does make it more interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I definitely get where they got the aggression from and why.
Yeah.
Like, the stylistic choices that they
Like,
made.
the whole point was they were releasing their anger through this album instead of at each other.
Exactly. Like, especially through the song Saint Anger, I feel like Saint Anger was basically James just venting.
Yeah.
He's madly in anger with you, and he grabs it by the throat and chokes it.
Yeah.
And that's what he had said at one point in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He said, when he likes something, he just like wants to grab a hold of it and choke the life out of it. That's why he didn't want Jason to do side projects.
Yeah. Stuff
like that. And this covers a lot of good side shit. Like Jason Newsted's new band and him leaving.
Yeah.
And it covers Dave Mustaine.
Dude, that Mustaine part. Fuck.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for Dave.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, he's pretty much documented as being a giant douche.
Yeah, is that like Dave's Mustaine's life is really freaking interesting.
Yeah.
It's like I've read his autobiography before, and there's some fucked up shit in there.
I need to read that.
It's really good. But, yeah, pretty much it goes into the whole breakup between Mustaine and Metallica and how they pretty much left him in New York with a bus ticket to LA saying, hey, get the fuck out of our band.
Yeah, and about how it's pretty much haunted Mustaine ever since, mostly because the fans keep on bringing it up.
Well, it's the fans bringing it up, and the fact that Metallica became one of, if not the biggest band in the world.
Exactly, and I mean, it's not like Megadeth are any slouches, they're still massive.
Oh yeah, Megadeth's huge.
But they're not Metallica.
Sure, the fact that, been nominated for a Grammy 11 times and never won, and Metallica's won the most.
Great.
Hey.
Thanks,
Dave. But yeah, pretty much, I would recommend watching this documentary. Like, it is really interesting. It shows a band that a lot of people like and idolize at their lowest point.
Exactly. Like, I don't think if you're not a Metallica fan, like, this movie will change your opinion or anything like that. I think it's definitely for the fans.
Thing is, I could see someone who's not a Metallica fan enjoying this as like the personalities and like it shows people. Like you
That's
don't have
true.
to be a Metallica fan to not appreciate, but to understand that troubles that these people are going through.
Yeah, you definitely understand it even if you're not a fan. If you are a fan, you'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like, I definitely enjoy this, and I had never seen this before until now.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Same here.
I found it incredibly interesting now.
Yeah, definitely.
Even like while watching parts of it, like with them bickering at each other, knowing that they're still together, like 15 years later, and the whole Mustaine part is like that they've actually put that behind them now.
Exactly. It's really nice. You can see that they wanted to kind of make amends.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Midlife Crisis, the movie.
Yeah, it really is.
Like they definitely just kind of like broke down about what has been going on in their lives for the last 15, 20 years, and then they start to rebuild from here. Like not in this movie, but ever since this movie has been released, you can see them rebuilding. Mending broken bridges and being more honest and working together and definitely having better chemistry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
and like there are like parts of it that aren't as deep and heavy as that. Like I really enjoyed them doing the auditions for the bassists.
Yeah, those are really interesting. It was cool to see everybody who showed up.
Yeah, I'd like to see everyone who showed up, where they came from, how they played the songs, and while watching that, you can easily see like they made the right choice with Robert.
Yeah, exactly. Like seeing Rob's auditions, he was super into it. He was playing everything with ease, and it wasn't that it was obvious. Like I feel like
played everything with ease.
But no, everybody else was doing a very good job. But I think it was obvious that Rob was going to fit in the best.
Yeah,
and it ended up being really good. Obviously, they're still making music. They're still here.
Yeah.
The bass came back in Death Magnetic when they recorded it. It wasn't non-existent like on Anger. So that was nice.
But I just found it interesting to see like the whole songwriting process.
Yeah, especially where they were doing that weird process in the beginning where they were locked up in that.
That was kind of fucked.
What was that, like this penitentiary? Was it? Oh no, it was an army base. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an abandoned army base that they just went into the barracks there and just kind of locked themselves in.
Yeah, like as soon as I saw that, I'm just like, oh, so that's how this happened.
Yeah.
Basically, they got the stuff from the ideas for Saint Anger by being locked up in a room, being forced to come up with it instead of coming out naturally. So I don't know. Like I feel like maybe that was. I feel like that combined with the whole.
Yeah, I feel like that was the spark that lit the fuse.
It was. So that's kind of where the ideas for the album came from. I can't help but to think like the whole being in therapy thing is the reason why nobody pulled Lars aside and said, "Hey, you have to tune your drum." I was just listening for over 2 hours and I was waiting for somebody to point it out, and it never really happened. And I found it funny because then at the very end, when they went into concert to play, the drum was fine. He had the properly tuned drum set. I'm just like, but he didn't have this the whole entire time.
Yeah, no.
So and then the first time he plays it live, he's just like, oh yeah, I realized that this was a bad idea.
It's like when Lars, at the time where Lars was going to Kirk, it was like, we shouldn't have guitar solos on it because that would date it back to like the early 90s and 80s. Like we want this to be fresh, we want this to last. And then Kirk just goes to him and is like, if you don't have guitar solos, it's gonna date it to now.
Whoa.
Which is exactly what has happened.
Exactly.
So I just found that hilarious. It's like Kirk doesn't say a whole lot in it, but when he does, it's savage as fuck.
Exactly. Like Kirk's just in the background, like for the whole entire thing. He's like, yeah, I'm Kirk, I surf. I play guitar, and then he just comes in with a savage burn, and this is like halfway or 2/3 the way through the movie.
Yeah, like Kirk picks up with a lot of shit, which I think with the personalities of the band you kind of need. Because like James and Lars are these two big personalities. You almost needed, like, if they had a third really big personality, it would not click.
Like if they brought in somebody that had like a big ego or something.
Yeah, and then you have Robert who's like, hey, I'm gonna be part of the band. Here's $1 million. Cool.
He's just like, whoa, yay! I got $1 million and I'm in Metallica. This is the best day ever.
But yeah, so overall, this is a really enjoyable documentary. I'd recommend checking it out.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. I mean, it's a bit of a long haul, like I said, almost 2.5 hours. So
yeah, but like I never found it boring. Like, I was engaged the entire time.
No, I would completely agree. Like, I found there were very little moments where I was uninterested. Like, I still wanted to follow the story all the way through, so it was good following it through the early stages, and then even through James's rehab, even though there wasn't a whole lot going on in that kind of section there. And then when they come back, like, and it's cool because you can also instantly tell from when James comes back, like, there's a lot less, there's like a lot less kind of like random bickering, but then when there is bickering, they're more direct because they had been going through the therapy. So, like, you know, in the beginning when they were just getting pissy, they'd be all grumpy and not talking, but then, like, the end, like, if they were getting frustrated, they would just say it out loud. Like when Lars got up in James's face and yelled in his face because he was angry at him. It's like, yeah, that's pretty. He
was
that's
madly
pretty
in anger with him.
He was so madly in anger with him. I think Saint Anger is a love ballad between James and Lars.
Yeah.
And I think
soap opera.
I think Dave might want to write a love ballad for him and Lars as well. my little Danish friend.
My little Danish friend. But yeah, so Some Kind of Monster is good.
Would recommend.
Yeah.
I would watch this and then listen to Saint Anger because it might soften the blow.
It really did, because I did listen to Saint Anger again after watching this, and I wouldn't say it is better, but it made more sense.
It does make more sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I still can't get over the drum, and I still can't get over some of the lack of structure there, but
yeah,
it was better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh. My little Danish friend.